Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Chet Buchanan from 98.5 KLUC in Las Vegas. I know that doesn't mean anything to you, but I just want to prove that I, too, am not an idiot. Because just like you, I'm listening to the Friday Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com. Believe that.
What's up? This is the Friday Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Hoppy.
And I'm Ryan Stuppridge.
And on the phone line, he is the host of ESPN The Weekend. He is on SportsTownChicago.com. What's up, Jake?
What's going on, guys? I like the music in the background. Good choice.
Thank you very much. We like to take it back, play the old good beats. Okay, so let's begin with the NBA playoffs. What is your take as the series between OKC and the Spurs last night took a huge turn as the Spurs just dominated against the Thunder?
Well, the Spurs won the series last night, essentially. The team that wins Game 5 usually ends up winning the series, and what they did that's going to completely change the series is contain Serge Ibaka. I mean, I think he went 3 for 10 from the field.
Yeah.
He scored 6 points. He only had 2 boards, which was less than 7 guys on his team. So they completely made him a non-factor, and what that does, not only is their third leading scorer a non-factor, but they can't spread the floor like they did in Games 3 and 4, and that's why you saw Westbrook not be as effective. That's why you saw KD not be as effective, and the Thunder's problem is they only have 3 main scorers. After that, they don't get contributions from the other guys that much. Occasionally, Caron Butler here and there, Kendrick Perkins. I mean, this guy, no one talks about him. He never scores. I mean, They need to find a new center in the offseason. And Scott Brooks is going to need to find a new job because if they lose this series, I think they need to go elsewhere at head coach. And the Spurs, they score from everyone. I mean, 13 guys play last night. They used the whole roster. And their depth is just unbelievable. Popovich is amazing. And then the post-game press conference was hilarious. I mean, this Spurs team knows how to win in these situations, and they smell revenge. They want to play the Heat, and they want to get revenge on the Heat. And, I mean, they have the depth to possibly beat the Heat, and I hope we get that series because I'd rather see that series than see, as much as we want to see KD versus LeBron, I don't think the Thunder stand a chance versus the Heat. I think the Spurs definitely stand a chance and have a shot to beat the Heat this year.
What is your take on Kevin Durant overall as a player? Did you think he deserved to win MVP this year in the NBA?
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. I mean, KD was the best player in the league. He carried the Thunder when Russell Westbrook was out.
Yeah.
And he obviously statistically was better than LeBron James. He was just unbelievable. I mean, that stretch he had with 30-plus point games was just remarkable. He was the best player in the league, and I really think that he would work out better without Russell Westbrook. I think that you take Reggie Jackson. I really think they should trade Westbrook, maybe get a center. Maybe if the Nets could somehow swing a deal for Darren Williams and Brook Lopez. I mean, I would do that in a heartbeat if I'm the Nets. That's not going to happen, though. But I think he's going to work out better without Westbrook stealing possessions from him. I think Westbrook, as we all know, he's talented, and we don't give him enough credit. But I think Durant needs to lead this team, and they need other pieces, and they need some depth. And I think they could get depth, especially how good Westbrook's playing. I think they could get so much. Westbrook's trade value right now is sky high. So I think Kevin Durant will become an even better player, which is scary to think next season if they could get rid of Westbrook somehow. And I think if they have a new head coach, maybe a Mark Jackson, maybe Fisher goes from a player to coach, I think he ends up going to the Knicks. But I think with a new coach and without without Russell Westbrook, I think Kevin Durant could be even a better player than what we saw this year, which was just one of the best seasons in NBA history.
And what do you think the Thunder need to do to win these next 2 games, since coming out of a 3-2 hole isn't that impossible of a task?
Yeah, well, they can definitely do it, and they have their home crowd. I mean, they have the second-best home crowd behind the Warriors, maybe even the best, some people would argue. In the NBA. But Serge Ibaka has to be a factor. I mean, it's that simple. When you're third leading scorer, I mean, 12 points per game doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a huge swing from what he did last night. And he's got to be a presence on the glass. I mean, 2 rebounds for your power forward is just embarrassing. I mean, he's 6'10". He's got to be pulling out a double-double. He's got to block 4 shots. And his ability to be a factor allows them to get the 3-point shot, allows Jackson to be involved, Westbrook, Durant. I mean, Westbrook was a non-factor. He took 12 shots last night. I mean, Russell Westbrook wasn't happy with that. You saw in the post game, he would look like he had fumes coming out of his ears.
Yeah.
And the Thunder bench, I mean, let's be honest, Steven Adams and Nick Collison, I mean, give me a break. Those guys are a complete downgrade from Ibaka and Perkins, even though Perkins, I think, has just been a nightmare in the playoffs. But, I mean, they have no depth on the bench. They have no scoring on the bench like the Spurs do. So the key for them to come back in this series is get Ibaka back in double figures, have him be a force on the glass again, and that'll set guys up like a Caron Butler from downtown, like a Derek Fisher, and like, obviously, Westbrook and Durant. I'd like to see Ibaka kind of have that Willis Reed-esque performance where he comes out of the locker room like he comes out. No one saw it coming in Game 3.
Yeah.
A miraculous story. I still didn't think they were winning the series, but I thought it was going to go 7. So I'd like to see them win tonight, force a Game 7, be good for the NBA, because I don't think the Pacers are forcing a Game 7.
Jake, what is it about Russell Westbrook that makes him so aggravating? There's one game, Jake, he looks like he's a top-tier player, and this team can win rings. And in the next game, he goes 5 for 15 with 9 points and looks like an overshooting bum. Like, what is it about him that makes him so aggravating? Is it that he's too selfish? What is Russell Westbrook's problem?
Well, I think you just answered your own question. I mean, he's
Yeah.
completely inconsistent. One night he looks like a Hall of Famer. The next night he looks like a crazy man. So I think he needs to find it in between, and I don't think he could do it with Kevin Durant, because in the final minutes we see him. I mean, let's be honest. That game versus the Clippers, Game 5, they should have lost. The officiating was embarrassing. Westbrook did not get fouled by Chris Paul in that three-point shot. The ball goes out of bounds. You know the whole story. I don't need to tell you the story. You guys saw the game. So they shouldn't even be in it right now. And Westbrook's crazy shot attempts almost had them out of the playoffs. But luckily, the ghost of Tim Donaghy has them still in the playoffs right now. So I think Westbrook needs to go to a team where he kind of could be that shining star and doesn't need to worry about taking the spotlight from KD. Maybe a team like, say, the Celtics, maybe Rondo comes to town. I think Rajon Rondo and Kevin Durant would be a combo that could finally win the Western Conference. I think if they could work out some sort of deal there, I think that's the perfect player, a guy who's pass first and not shoot first. Rondo's going to find KD. Rondo's going to find his teammates, and I think he could work perfect with Reggie Jackson in the backcourt, and I think that's a move you'd have to watch out for. But, yeah, I think it's the offense that he's in is why he's so aggravating, because you say, what the hell is he doing? Give the ball to Kevin Durant. What are you doing?
Right.
And we say, what are you doing too much? Sometimes he'll make those shots, but most of the time you're saying that's not a shot you want to take there. So, I mean, you answered it pretty much yourself. He's very erratic, too inconsistent night in and night out, and doesn't work in this offense. And Scott Brooks, I'm sorry, you could go to a CVS and buy a coloring book, and that's equivalent to his playbook, because all he does is say, give it to Westbrook, give it to Durant. He is not a great coach, and I think they also need to go elsewhere there, but I'm not going to go off too much on Scott Brooks.
Now moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals with the Heat and Pacers, who do you think is going to win tonight? Do you think the Heat are going to close it out at home, or do you think the Pacers are going to extend it to Game 7?
Yeah, I think the Heat are going to close it out at home. I mean, they don't lose much at home in the playoffs. They've had a terrific home court, and I went to a regular season game, and everyone's right. I went down to Miami, and the fans show up late, they leave early. But when the playoffs come, that place is rocking, that place is loud, as it should be. And I don't think we're going to have an instance where they, a Game 6 in the finals, where they leave early and they're banging on the door to get back in. I think it ends tonight in Miami. I just think the Pacers, my problem with the Pacers, they don't have a closer. I mean, Paul George is terrific. I mean, let's give him credit. He had an amazing fourth quarter, scoring 21 in Game 5. But who else do they have after that? Roy Hibbert? This guy's had 4 or 5 games where he hasn't scored in the playoffs. He's an all-star center. I mean, that is inexcusable for an all-star center to go scoreless in the NBA playoffs. And Lance Stevenson, he's not known for his play at this point. He's known for blowing in LeBron's ear. He's known for laying on the floor. He's known for flopping every night. And I think the distractions are too much. I don't think they have very good team chemistry right now. They have way too many problems in the locker room. And it's sad because Frank Vogel's got to deal with a bunch of these knuckleheads and I don't think they can win on the road tonight. They just don't have that closer. LeBron's going to be that closer. He's not giving it to Bosh tonight. He's taking the ball in the final minutes. He's driving the hoop. He's scoring. And I think it'll be close, but they win and they go to the finals tonight.
What is it about Roy Hibbert that makes him such an aggravating player? Because there's no good inside presence on the Heat. If you ask me, Roy Hibbert should be dominating every single play against Birdman and everybody else they have playing center. Why is he not dominating? Is it just a lack of just being lazy? Or is Roy Hibbert, Jake, just not as good as we wanted him to be?
I think it's a combination of both things. I think, you know what, I'm not going to say he's not a man, but he hasn't manned up. He's kind of put up wussy performances in the NBA playoffs, and that's not what you want to see from your all-star center that you're paying a ton of money. I never thought he was the best center. I don't care what he did last year. I thought when Brook Lopez is healthy, he's probably the best scoring center. But I don't know with Roy Hibbert. He doesn't play physical, and it seems like he's scared at big moments. And that's not a player you want on your team. And when he doesn't show up, they lose. So it's kind of like with the Thunder, actually, with Serge Ibaka. I mean, he plays. They beat the Spurs every time this season, except last night. When he doesn't play, they lose. Roy Hibbert essentially doesn't play when he doesn't score. I mean, he doesn't even get rebounds either. Just like I said with Ibaka. Ibaka had 2 boards. Roy Hibbert's 7 feet. Get up there, be a man,
exactly.
Get on the glass, and get some damn rebounds. I mean, I hate watching a 7-footer get 5 or 6 rebounds and score 5 points. Man, I'll put up some hook shots. I mean, we didn't get to see, because we're young, we didn't get to see the guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Hakeem Olajuwon. We didn't get to see those amazing guys with the post presence, those hook shots that our dads used to always talk about. They used to try and teach us. Roy Hibbert doesn't have that, and he doesn't have a jump shot either. If he had a mid-range jumper, you know what, maybe he could be lethal. But I'm sorry, he just looks like a little schoolgirl out there in the playoffs. It's really hard to watch, because as an NBA fan, when he's playing good, they're a fun team to watch. But when he's playing like he is in the playoffs, that's a Pacers team that just doesn't look like they should be there.
Now, Jake, a lot of the blame for the Pacers just not playing to their potential goes with Lance, it goes with Paul George and Roy Hibbert, but it seems like not enough of the blame goes to Frank Vogel. Is it just me, or does he seem outmatched at times and just lets these egos fly around in the huddle and on the court? I think if they had a coach that could get this team in the right mindset, they would be farther along down the road. What is your take?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. I don't think he's the right guy for the job because of these personalities, and all these guys have so much trouble off the court. I mean, there's been situations and a lot of talk. They've been messing with each other's women off the court, and you know that's never going to end well with some basketball players. I mean, I actually know a girl that knows Paul George, and he's worried about flying her out to Indiana and making moves on her. I mean, he should be worried about basketball. He's worried more about women right now, which is a concern in my mind. If you're in the NBA playoffs and going for a title, you were the best team in the Eastern Conference, and you're more worried about that. That's a problem. So I think Frank Vogel's not the guy. I think a guy like Greg Popovich would contain these kind of attitudes. Someone else. I mean, you could name any Doc Rivers. I mean, he was the perfect guy for the Clippers. Obviously, they lost, but he is just a terrific head coach. I think Vogel's a good coach, but he can't contain. I hate to say thugs, but I mean Lance Stevenson is a thug. I mean, there's nothing wrong with me saying that because it's just true. That's just what he is, and he's really kind of a cancer to this locker room, guys. Just the way he acts on the floor. It's funny at times, you know, it belonged in his ear, and LeBron's reaction was actually hysterical. But everything else he does, from flopping to his comments riling up LeBron, why would you ever rile up LeBron James? That may be the stupidest thing you could ever do. I mean, there's rile up Brian Scalabrine, rile up someone who doesn't matter. You don't rile up a guy like LeBron James, the best player on this planet. And Frank Vogel should have said, shut your mouth, but he can't. I mean, I'm sure he's tried, but these guys, you said it, there's so many bad attitudes, and this team has such bad chemistry. It just doesn't seem like they like each other.
Now let's real quick talk about the Rangers winning the Eastern Conference Finals last night. How big is it for New York, since a lot of teams like the Yankees and Nets and Knicks and Islanders aren't doing so well for the Big Apple this year?
Oh my God, it's huge for New York. I mean, hockey really doesn't come into existence until the playoffs. Let's be honest. The regular season just doesn't matter that much in the NHL. And even in sports talk radio, we don't talk about hockey until the playoffs come around. And this Rangers team, I mean, nobody saw it coming. They had an awful start to the year. They had a bunch of road games in a row. They were losing early. They get Marty St. Louis. I mean, the story with Dominic Moore. I mean, his wife passes away. Marty St. Louis' mom dies. He scores on Mother's Day. I mean, this story doesn't get any better. I mean, it's just been miraculous what this team has done. They come back from down 3-1 to the Penguins to win that series. It's destiny for this Rangers team, and I know you guys in Chicago, you guys are hoping for a comeback, and I know people here in New York are ecstatic. I got to Penn Station late last night after all the celebrations. That place is rocking. People are screaming on the trains. There's drunks everywhere. I mean, everyone's probably still drinking right now. It is just insane, the atmosphere, and tickets are going for $1,500 is the cheapest ticket.
Yeah, I saw that.
is probably the most expensive ticket. You have to give away a kidney to get into that building, guys. So it's definitely good to see. And I'll tell you, a lot of people here now with this Kings turnaround and quick at goalie, they want Crawford and they want your Blackhawks, which is weird to think because coming into the playoffs, you said stay away from the Blackhawks. We'll take the Kings. But it seems like the Kings have really found themselves in this playoffs, and people really want to face the Blackhawks and not the Kings. But yeah, this is huge for New York, and I mean with the Knicks, pathetic. The Nets, very disappointing season. Mets, I mean, I don't even need to talk about them. The Yankees, injury woes, and they're probably not going to make the playoffs this year. Jets and Giants missed the playoffs. The Islanders were a disgrace, and the Devils were a disgrace. So every team loses. So it's about time they get a winner. And this team needs to win the Cup and needs to do it for New York. They have to. I mean, it's destiny at this point.
And before we let you go, Jake, where can people find your work online and on the radio?
Yeah, you could follow me on Twitter at JB Sports Radio. You can follow the show at ESPN The Weekend. Tomorrow is actually my last show on ESPN Radio, New Hampshire. I start working as a program manager for CBSSportsRadio.com on Monday. But, yeah, so that's going to be a great opportunity. And then I still host on AM 1240 WGBB. Just you can follow my Twitter and find when I'll be on there. And I usually try to get New York sports guests on there, and then hopefully on the move to another station soon. So you can stay tuned, JakeRyanBrown.com and JB Sports Radio.
Well, Jake, have a good weekend, my man, and thanks for coming on to Friday Sports Riot here on SportsTownChicago.com.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good luck to your Blackhawks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jake. And that was Jake Brown of ESPN Radio.
Coming up, the Friday Sports Riot.
Coming up in a few moments, we're going to have Mark Grody from 670 The Score, one of our all-star guests that always comes on to talk about sports. And if you'd like to call, you can call 630-403-5200, 630-403-5200. We will be right back shortly on Friday Sports Riot, SportsTownChicago.com.
The Friday Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com.